Well, hello and welcome to Hello Chaos, the show where founders, innovators, and chaotic minds get real, get unfiltered about the mess, the magic, and the mayhem of entrepreneurship. Today, we have on our show Haley Hoover. She is the founder of Winnie and Lu and inventor of its flagship product, the Eris Drying Rack, and she's calling out of Keller, Texas. Welcome, Haley. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you
Thank
being on.
you. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, tell me, like I read some of your the bio and your story is fascinating. So I can't wait for our listeners to hear how what inspired you, and yeah, I mean, and motivated you to like start this company. So tell us how it came about.
Yes. Well, I don't know if it was postpartum crazies or just a total frustration, but I had been a professional nanny for 11 years and then, 15 years in between going to school, having a career in healthcare business, had my own kids after that, and was so disappointed to discover that when I went to go get the products for my own kids, that the bottle drying racks were exactly the same as they had been 15 years prior. Back then, I was frustrated with them because they not only were ugly, but they got really moldy and gross
Yeah.
fast. They didn't hold all of the bottle parts for the whole day. And I was a working mom when I had my kids and I was breastfeeding and pumping. And so forget about a spot for drying those pump parts as well. So when I
Right.
finally got out of the really sleepless nights and my kids were in diapers, I decided, you know what? I'm going to fix this one day. And so I had started a virtual assistant business and it was immediately successful. And I was like, oh, starting a
Wow.
business is a piece of cake. So I can totally do a product business.
Yeah.
Very different
very,
animal.
very different.
But I just began to think about the things and the parts of the bottle drying rack that were the
Mm,
most frustrating. I started researching reviews on bottle racks that were on the market and thought about ways that I could make them look like they were intended for an adult kitchen and not for the child's nurseries and toys,
right.
and make them sustainable so that they didn't have such a short shelf life and just get
Mm,
tossed in the garbage, because a lot of bottle racks don't get donated because of how gross they get.
yeah.
And I wanted for them to be something that you could really kind of hold on to those early childhood memories
Mm,
that are fleeting, when you're in that brain fog and the baby's needs are so high and you're just surviving. And I wanted for you to have something that would create that muscle memory to hold on to those memories for years to come. And so that
mhm.
became the Eris drying rack.
So Winnie and Lou, are those your kids' names?
Those are actually my dog's names. So
Okay.
I have 2 boys, and I really was hopeful to have a 3rd child, and doctors recommended that that wasn't the safest thing to do, and so instead, we adopted 2 border collies from a local rescue here in North Texas, and their names are Winnie and Lula, and they have been my trusted little office mates through my virtual assistant business, and
I
when I
love
started
it.
to work on the concept of the heiress, they were right by my side. So I figured what a better nod than to name my business after my little office girls.
That's
So
right. They're your cheerleaders.
yes, my sidekicks, my therapists, they're the ones that keep me, not glued to the desk all the time too.
That's
So
right. You gotta caretake those two.
yes.
So curious of you go from kind of doing a virtual assistant business and running that to creating like a manufacturing product, designing. Talk to me about that. Like, where did you go for resources and how did you develop go take your design? Did you hire somebody to kind of envision to put it on paper? How did you find your manufacturer? Like, talk to me about all of that.
Yeah, so I started with a notebook sketch, the same notes that I was taking for my virtual assistant business. I just started sketching on one page, just some ideas that I thought, and then a concept drawing, and then took that I went on Fiverr and sent some person that did graphic design my concept from the notebook. And he helped create some drawings for it and little tweaks here and there. came up with the overall kind of concept of the design and what it would look like,
Mm.
and then just started doing some self-research, so podcasts and blogs and free webinars and all of that that I could possibly get my hands on to learn what it takes to bring a product to market, which
Whew.
was one of looking back on it in hindsight, probably should have done a little bit more research
Right.
before I completely dove into it because I've made some, probably more expensive mistakes than I would have hoped for if I would have done a little bit more reading on
Right.
things.
Or maybe not. Maybe that was I call it the MBA of you learn on the job, you learn, like the pivots and
Yeah,
yeah.
for
So what was the biggest, like, if you could do hindsight's always 2020, but if you could rewind and redo something, what would you have done different?
Well, I found that the information that I was taking in, specifically from, folks on the internet that have had successful
Mhm.
product launches and businesses was they would say things like all you need is like $10,000 to get a product launch and you can make that into, a multi-million dollar brand.
Right.
And at the time, I really just wanted to create a product and sell it as a one-off. And then as
Mm.
I got more involved in the development of the product, I started coming up with more product ideas and then started to come up with the concept of like, well, this really could be a full brand.
Right.
So I wish that I wouldn't have jumped in so quickly to the manufacturing side of things.
Mm.
But then kind of to your point a moment ago, I did learn a lot by diving in to the manufacturing so quickly.
Yeah.
I went on Alibaba and just started pitching to all of these manufacturers to see who would be willing to make a low order quantity that would meet my standards that I could afford and create just, a starter batch of product
Wow.
and bring it to market. And that was a very trying trial and error, but learned a lot along the way.
If for our other founder listeners, because we've heard from several founders in kind of in that manufacturing space, kind of designing, products, especially for either children or moms, and yeah, the ahas of man, I would have done it. They're like some of them, manufacturing partners were burned,
Yes.
got burned, and just those kind of lessons. But are there, like, if you had to give advice to people who are thinking about that, what are like some key things that you would go, these are the questions you need to ask, or these are the red flags?
Well, from manufacturing specifically, I would really ask for reviews or genuine, like getting the contact from other folks that have used that
Mm.
manufacturer and see if what your idea of quality is the same idea
Right.
of quality for your manufacturer and the people that have used them. For example, the manufacturer that I originally started working with, they had fantastic reviews, and the people that I was working with at that manufacturing company were wonderful. They were incredibly helpful. They wanted for me to get the design that I wanted with the quality that I wanted, but none of that was going to be possible with the
Mm.
budget that we were trying to work within. So the first thing that I would say is making sure that you are uncovering all spots that are buried under the rug of
Right.
what that manufacturer's actually capable of doing.
Are you guys on the same like the same playing field?
Yes. I will
Yeah.
be honest that, I had no intention of making a second order with my original manufacturer.
Mhm.
However, I never expressed that to them before they told me that they would not be working with me again because my standards were too high. So, which to me was a compliment that
Yeah.
it was, my product is a luxury item that is intended to be an investment piece, and so I want for the quality to back that. And so,
Right.
the fact that they were admitting that, I was a little too high maintenance for them, I knew that it was a good time to, sever that relationship and find somebody
Yeah.
new. And so around that time, I also found some business coaches that had brought product to
Mm,
market and been successful, sold those businesses that also had a very deep Rolodex of folks in the industry that could help me. And so they
okay.
connected me with a manufacturing rep who was able to speak more on my behalf and help me find
Nice.
a better manufacturer that would meet my budget and my standards.
So
So
bringing support advocate, getting an advocate representative for you.
exactly,
How
exactly.
is how is the ecosystem in your area of Texas? Is that where you tapped into to kind of like, local connections, or did you, like I said, you went online and kind of looked at like where did you find your source? Your
Yeah.
sources. Yeah.
So, ironically, my an old roommate from college, she helped me do my branding and website. She's based in Charleston, South Carolina. And
Neighbor.
so yeah, and so she had a great network, women she mostly supports women in business, and she had a network of women that had dabbled here and there and, all different parts of business, and she said, "Well, let me connect you with these 2 women that have brought a product to market that
Is this
now do coaching."
OME gear?
It
Is it?
is!
Yes. Oh, yes.
Tools and
Their
Stays.
story is yes, their story is is fantastic too.
They are
And they've been on the
incredible.
podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they helped me, kind of recover from the disappointment of that first pass of product with the first manufacturer and kind of, dust myself off and pick up the boots again and get back to work, and so
Just keep going.
yes, yes.
So what have you learned about yourself through this journey?
Oh my gosh, so much. It's interesting. People always ask me, they're like, how do you have these 2 businesses, plus you have young kids, plus you have
Right.
highly active dogs and, you volunteer and you do all this stuff. And what the biggest thing is I've learned is not only could I not have created a product like I did and a brand that is geared towards motherhood without being a mom, but I would not have had the drive, the determination, the time management, the ability to pivot, the ability to budget. Like there's so many things that I learned as being a mom
Yeah.
that I didn't realize until I started doing this business. And so to me, one of my passions from starting this business has been to encourage women to not put their work skill sets aside once they don that motherhood cap and to really tap into what do you love? What are you good at? And
Mhm.
what can you do on your own time to create and work for yourself and own your time and own your schedule and still provide for yourself, your child, your family,
Right.
whoever, while you still get to enjoy being a mom and be present for your kids.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So, a lot of founders struggle with letting go. I don't know if you're one of those.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
don't know what that is, and as we scale businesses, right? And it's going to be interesting to hear your perspective because of the virtual assistant where you're probably working with other business owners and founders. You're like, delegate to me.
Yes.
Now it's on the flip side. How are you struggling with that? Or how are you?
I am the mom that is at baseball practice with my laptop. I am the mom that is up at, 11 o'clock at night answering emails on my phone after everybody's gone to bed. But that's my time that I enjoy
Mm.
working. I don't feel like doing this business depletes me. I will admit that I am at a point where I should bring on some additional help, but baby steps, baby
That's
steps.
right. That's right. How do you think you're going to be at delegating?
I'm good at delegating when it's kind of tasks that can be easily repeated that don't
Mm,
need to feel personal. Well, for example, I've had interns that have helped me, especially like on the social media side.
right.
And I've asked them to help with like editing or ideas and such like that. And when I've delegated those things, I can immediately tell that the content doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel me. It doesn't feel true to
Mm,
the brand. So that's something that I still hold very tightly because I want for people to be able to trust Winnie and Lu, trust the product, trust the brand. And so it's important to me to control that message and that visual. But when it comes to delegating, the I don't want to say mundane because they're all important, but more of the repetitive things, I think that I won't have a problem with that as much.
yeah. I think as we start discovering ourselves as founders and trying to let go, it's really letting go with more purpose.
Yes.
And at least that's kind of what I've learned of. I would have delegated like just get it off my plate. Like I don't want to do it. But I learned who I did delegate it, but it didn't wasn't on brand or it didn't protect the business, manage the expectations. And so, yeah, you learn you've got to be very intentional about delegating that work,
Yes.
setting those expectations and defining those responsibilities.
Yes. I will say that I've been very intentional about I have a lot of fractional help or contract help.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that I have somebody that helps me with my branding and website stuff. That is, that's not a good use of my time to
No.
be focusing on those items. So finding the right people to tap in when I do need that help without having to bring them on full time
Do that as
is
long as you can. I
yes.
mean, w I think that's what we see as more successful businesses is, because 'cause you're still delegating, but you're
Mhm.
managing, the expectations, but you're bringing on fractional help, fractional legal, fractional accounting,
Yep.
fractional marketing, and even fractional, like, sales and
Yep.
making
I
sure
have a
that, business development and all that is, um yeah, it's crazy to bring on full-time hires. That's more risk, I think.
yes.
Yeah.
And from not only, a business financial perspective, but also just from, for me at least, like a moral perspective, I don't want to bring somebody on with the responsibility of knowing that I've promised to help them be able to earn a living to
Yeah.
sustain their life and then not be
It's a
able to
big
do
deal.
that.
Yeah,
It is. It is.
absolutely. What do you think has been the biggest, like, your aha moment in your journey?
Oh gosh. I would have to say just so the original launch of this product was Labor Day of last year,
Mm.
and that first order sold out in less than a week. And
Wow,
40% of the sales were to complete random strangers, so not family and friends or friends of friends.
that's
And
incredible.
so that sellout, I was like, "Okay, I'm onto something here. This
Right.
is something that people it's not something that I just wanted, it's something that a lot of people want."
It validated your
Yes,
yeah, the solution.
yes.
Absolutely.
So that
Yeah.
that was fun. That was a big win in the
That
business.
is a big win, and you need to celebrate that. That's right. And then, as you're kind of going along, this next year, what's been like? Have you had a big jet moment?
I mean, every day. No, I would say the biggest one is honestly just I'm sure you hear this from every founder is the money,
Yeah,
it's really hard to bring a product to market, and I would caution anybody that is going to listen to, somebody that they find on a podcast, or I'm not speaking about you, but like some of these like coach gurus that are
yeah.
on podcasts and saying like all you need is $5,000 or
They're
$1,000. Like
the gimmicks.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can't even bring, like, a hair tie to market for that much. Like, you there's no way you're going to improve something that already exists on that type of a budget,
yeah.
and that was something that I wish I would have looked more into, like I mentioned
Mm,
earlier, and so the "oh shit" moments are when it's like, "Okay, I've got fractional help that I need to pay and sales are down, what am I gonna do to make up for this?"
right.
Made me resourceful in a lot of different ways.
Right. Well, I think that, and like you said, that's a big myth that I think that's out there. In
Mhm.
that, oh, if I just start a business, I'll make 1 million in 6 months to a year, and I'll sell. I can
Yep.
sell it in a couple of years. I think that there's a weird myth out there
Yeah.
that needs to be broken.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
It's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of sacrifice, and you really do have to be hungry for it.
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you how many invitations I've declined because I've had to pack orders, or how many trips that I've said no to because I've had a show that I have already committed to doing. The business doesn't stop
Right.
because life is carrying on. There's a ton of posts on my social media of me working with a sick kid in my lap because there's still work to do, and the business is me.
Right.
So, that's been
It's that is your third child.
it is. I refer to Winnie and Lu as my 3rd baby. And I love it. I never
Yeah.
feel I won't I feel depleted by it in the same way that you feel depleted by children,
Right.
it's asking more of me than I have the energy to give.
That's right.
Um, but when it does give, it fills me up in such a way that, I never thought I would be in this type of position. I
Right.
thought I was gonna be a stay-at-home mom or a nurse. And
It brings such a different purpose and meaning into
mhm,
work. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Well, how do you stay disciplined? Do you have like a secret routine?
Uh,
um, Different disciplines that you do, like whether it's to stay focused or just to release.
I am a firm believer in regular exercise, and I know nobody wants to hear that, but I
Like
can change my
I'm
mood.
working on it for
I
myself.
know. It's hard to get started, but there's days where I'm like, I have no energy to even think creatively or think strategically or think about the numbers. And then a quick walk. I have a walking pad and a desk that adjusts so that I can walk when I
Yeah.
need to kind of get the blood flowing a little bit. But I really just try to stay scheduled. So I use a full focus planner, an old school pencil and paper full
I
focus
have that
planner.
planner.
It's great.
I love it.
It
Yeah.
really helps you kind of brain dump and organize your thoughts, and so I think that that works really well.
Mhm.
And then I think the best lesson I've learned of all of this business has been the power of boundaries and the word no, which is something that I have and I still struggle with that at
Yeah.
times. But learning that it's okay to say no and that FOMO is just a part of life,
Right. Yeah.
and it's okay. It's okay. But
It's
I
okay. Yeah.
that making sure that I make the time for myself or not feel guilty for, um during the school year, I try to take a nap every day, about a half an hour before I pick up my kids from school, and
Adult nap time. It's
yes,
so underrated.
it
We
is
were just
so.
we were just talking about that earlier today of
Were
like
you?
we all need tummy time.
Yes, tummy time. I don't know, the kids hate the tummy time. But, one of the best lessons that I learned in undergrad was from a professor who taught us the power of the 10-minute nap and taught us, like,
Yeah,
how to get into that, and, it's a game changer.
that's right. Oh yeah. I've been trying to do a daily walk. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be one of those that gets up at 6 a.m. and go work. I mean,
I don't.
I've struggled with it, and it's so weird because I was a runner at one point, and
That's probably why you don't like it right now.
just trying to get like, oh my gosh, and I've been saying it all year. So I have to make challenges for myself. It has to be a game,
Yeah,
and then ways to hold myself accountable to that. So yeah, I do a 641 challenge. It's how I structure my year. And I don't know
okay.
if you've heard that it came from another founder. It's Sarah Blakely's husband,
Oh, Jesse, it's
Jesse Eitzer.
Schweitzer.
Eitzer, yeah. He's talked about it, and that's where I stole it from him. So shout out to Jesse.
Yes,
But I
they're both
started this a
great.
few years ago. Have you heard him talk about the 641
I haven't
challenge?
heard that method, no.
So yeah, I mean, it was he did a podcast, I don't know, back in 2020, and it just stuck with me. And I started it, I think either in 2022 or 23, and I've loved it. It's really structured the year, but the rhythm is, um, find like six mini adventures. So about every other month,
Mhm,
find something, whether it's with your kids, your friends, but do something that you would have normally said no to, something that you've always wanted to try, or something you want to get, like do something with the kids that you've never done. But try to space it out to be about every other month to do
okay.
something. And it's like not a big thing, like a day trip somewhere, or go take a walk, do a waterfall hike that you've never done, or horseback riding, or go to a winery with a bunch of friends. Just something
Different.
um, different, and kind of shake it up a little bit. But yeah, so six of those, and then adopt a new habit every quarter. So each quarter, come up with that. And by the time that 90 days is over, it's really been ingrained in
Yeah, that's brilliant.
your habits. And then the one is find something that's like your defining year. So for you, it might be, okay, I've got to launch a new product that I'm doing. Or like for me this year, I'm writing a book on branding and marketing and really using curiosity as the edge. So
Brilliant.
talking about that. But yeah, so at the end of the year, you have 6 mini adventures. You've adopted 4 new habits,
Yes.
and you have some kind of epic year.
Seen
Have
this,
you've
but I
heard
didn't know that that's
him?
what it was.
Yeah.
But
Like
that's
last year, we our one divine like my whole family got together in Arizona, extended
so
family, and we had
nice.
like a huge like 10-day trip and stuff. So it can just be whatever that
Yeah.
year is that you look forward to. But so I have to do these challenges to myself. So I'm right now, I'm in a fourth quarter. The challenge was because I've talked about it, walking daily. I walk like maybe a couple times a week. But I was like, I need to do daily. So now it's been and I posted on Facebook just as my accountability.
Good for you.
And I even have like I share my schedule with a circle of people who have said, I'll support you, I'll be a buddy. So I circulate it. I sometimes get people that show up and walk with me, and I choose different locations depending on and times because it's got to
Yeah.
work within my chaotic schedule, right?
Yes. Yes.
I can't because it just doesn't work. I have events that we've got to go to, but yeah, but it's been fun. It's
Good for
like I said,
you. I love that.
I love
And
it.
then you
It's
can
really
look back on
structured.
every year and you're like, it wasn't a total, you're not like,
Right.
what did I do this last year? You know?
Right. Yeah. It's just given a lot some structure that I
Yeah.
didn't have before. Yeah. So there
I
you
love
go.
that. Good for you too. I love, any, like, habit hacking type thing.
Yeah.
Atomic Habits, I think, is one of the greatest books ever written.
Yeah.
Um, I think that anytime that you can just take on something new and ingrain it in your life in such a natural way and grow,
That's right.
amazing.
Yeah. We're all a work in progress, right? I
Oh,
mean, we're
yeah.
all about continuous improvement.
Yes.
We have to do it. So, who's been your greatest cheerleader?
Oh my goodness. I have a lot, which I feel very fortunate
Oh, that's great.
about. My husband, I feel like sounds so cliche, but he so blindly just trusts that, whatever she's doing in that little
It's
office,
gonna work. It's gonna
whatever
do it.
product is in our garage, she's doing something. And he just, he supports when I need to be out of town. He supports when I have things like podcasts to be on.
Right.
So he's always encouraging, and then extended family has always been like first to buy, first to promote,
Mm,
all of that kind of stuff. And then I have a great village of girlfriends that
that's
hear me complain and gripe and celebrate and all of the things. So I can't nail it down to just one.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So okay, so if what's something that's not on LinkedIn or it's not on your resume that listeners would find kind of interesting about you?
So I used to coach rowing at an indoor row studio. And
Nice.
I used to joke that I wanted to be on QVC or be like a group fitness instructor. And so one day I just went to a row studio and I loved it and I signed up and my husband was like, "What are you doing? We have like a whole workout set up at our house. Like you don't need to have a membership for this." And I was like, "Oh, well, if I like doing it, I'll teach it." And he's like,
Right.
"Yeah, right." And then within like 6 months, I was getting certified to coach rowing. And honestly, it was one of the hardest things that I had ever done. It was completely out of my wheelhouse. And it was probably the thing that propelled me to try the businesses. So
Yeah.
once I found that I could do those things and be a little bit, color outside the lines of what I thought I was
Yeah.
supposed to
Push
do.
yourself out of your comfort zone. Yeah.
That's like my favorite statement for life is you only ever grow if you live outside your comfort zone. And so I think
It's a great
after like
saying.
getting married and having babies and like kind of getting through those first few years, it was the first test of like, okay, I can do something completely different. And here we are today.
That's great. I love that advice that you're saying. So, if I gave you a magic wand and you could wave it and change 2 things about your business. I know you're gonna say besides money.
Yeah. I'm like,
Besides money, because we all need that. What would be the 2 things that you would change?
Goodness. What I really want and what I need are very different things. So I
Mm,
would love to like speed up the process of all of the ideas of future products that I have to just like snap a finger and have them all exist in the marketplace for me.
you're like, "Done."
But the trial and error and the design process and the conversations that you get to have while you're, like, in that process are all good learning experiences, and
Yeah.
you get to meet interesting people, so, I don't know, I do wish that sometimes the production could go a lot faster than it does, and then the other thing would just be awareness, we're in such a saturated world with social
Mm.
media and,
How do you
just
break through the noise?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also too, I guess part of it is like education because a product like the Heiress and then the subsequent products that I have in mind for the brand are it's just a completely different concept than something that it currently exists. So there's a little bit of a learning curve for like,
You got a category sell because you're basically creating a new category within, the market, so
yes, I want to create something that is long lasting and sustainable. And I don't think
and
that
not
people
moldy
yeah, and beautiful,
and beautiful.
I just I struggled with, some postpartum depression and anxiety after I had my first one, I didn't really realize it, my second one, I really realized it, and I think just having some calming pieces or just more of a
Mm,
calming atmosphere really helps in those times, and so that was another component of, when I was coming up with the design elements for the Heiress in particular that was important is that I wanted it to feel calming and
yeah.
warm and like
Zen-like.
yes, instead of like neon cactus and fake grass, you know?
So, is there something about yourself that you really like that you wish more people would recognize about you?
Oh, that's a fun question. I don't know if people don't recognize this, but pretty much like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. And
Clearly, I'm gonna go row and then I'm gonna become a
yes, and I
instructor.
think my husband realizes that more than anybody, so maybe that's not the right answer to this question. But I don't like to let myself down. I feel like we've got one life, you gotta grab it by the horns,
Yeah.
and, if you fail, you learn, and I think that I never would have believed that I would be where I'm sitting today with this business and, like, doing things like podcasts or television segments or you name it, speaking at university classes on, like, how to
Mhm.
start a brand, things like that. That was never on my bingo card growing up.
Right, right.
And so I think that one of the things that I appreciate about myself is that I am kind of fearless in what I'm willing to attempt.
I love it.
I'm sure my
Fearless.
parents hated that.
So if you summed up your journey in one word, what word would describe your founder journey?
Oh, goodness. One word to describe my founder journey. At this point, I would say it sounds so cliche, but fun, which sounds, I
Mm,
don't think you hear a lot in business.
no.
But it has been fun, and I think a lot of the reason that it is fun is because it's new, it's exciting, I learn something new every day, I'm challenged every day, and I own it.
Yeah.
I get to control my schedule, to control when I work, I get to control what I work on that day, and as
It's
somebody
fun
who
and freedom.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, freedom is like a I don't quite feel like I'm there yet, but the fun part of I've always been kind of like spontaneous and like to kind of fly by the
Mm,
seat of my pants a little bit. And becoming a mom, you can't always do that. You have to
mhm.
be able to pivot, but there's a school schedule you have to adhere to, and
You gotta work around.
there's things like that. And so I feel like this gives me that opportunity to have some of that flexible fun.
Yeah, because you said it. You control it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if you look ahead to the next chapter, what do you want the word to describe that chapter?
that chapter would be freedom.
Fun and freedom. Okay.
Yes, yes. And it's not that I don't have freedom now. I feel like if I can continue on the trajectory and the path that I'm on with Winnie and Lu, it will provide even more freedom to give back to things that are
Mhm.
important to my heart, or to travel to places that I find interesting and want to explore more, or, buy the fun bag or something.
Yeah, that's right. I always got like it's freedom to be able to go, yeah, I wanna go to a on a trip or I need to hire people or whatever. It's you get freedom of choices.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, like, whatever, I'm spacing out today, like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's the way.
I'm like, if we met, like, a year from now to celebrate, I come down to Texas, we're bringing some champagne or whatever,
Yes.
what are we celebrating next year? 1 year from now?
Oh my
A
goodness.
win, like a big win. What are we celebrating?
Well, I would love to be more of a household name. Like, I
Mm,
would love for people when they find out that they're pregnant, that the first thing that they think is like, "I can't wait to have a Winnie and Lu."
we need to put a Winnie and Lu on our registry.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
the first thing I want to be opened up at my baby shower, or the first gift
nice.
I'm gonna buy myself when I'm pregnant is gonna be something Winnie and Lu.
I love it. We're gonna manifest that.
I will love
And
it.
put it out there in the universe. And then, I mean, you seem to do podcasts and read books and be surrounded by a great community. What's the best piece of advice that you think you've heard or taken to heart, and it's now become like your maybe it's your mantra, or whatever, but yeah, that you want to share with our listeners?
Never stop learning. I mean,
Mm,
there's always something that you can grow from in this experience. I think any experience, but especially, the it's kind of high stakes when you think about how much money you invest into bringing a
right,
product to life and putting yourself out there as the face of a brand. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to make bad decisions. You're
mm,
going to, do things that maybe embarrass you unintentionally, but you've got to own it. And I think that just being comfortable in the losses, I think, would be the
yeah.
best advice that I would give to somebody that was ready to embark on this type of journey.
Yeah, I agree. I always say, like, I took failure out of my vernacular, my
Yeah.
vocabulary, because I felt like it was damaging, to even my psyche
Mhm.
of they weren't really failures, even though I think that's how we look at those. And I really had to rethink and go, those were just lessons.
Yeah, I
My
think.
wins were blessings, and the other things, if you have a pivot, you adapt, you learn and
Mhm.
relearn and unlearn, and yeah, they're just lessons.
I think that as a society, especially, we're so conditioned to be the top of the class, to
Right,
be number 1, to be perfect, to get it right every time, and that's not how any part of the world works. If you
right,
look at animals, you look at plants, like, adaptation is what it makes you survive, and that is no different for us as humans. If anything, we've adapted tremendously over time. And just because we live in a modern time with modern conveniences
that's right,
doesn't mean that we're not still adapting. And so whether it's like deciding that you put too much hot sauce on your food and learning the hard way about that,
right.
or investing a lot of money into starting a brand and seeing,
And
that not.
seeing where did the money go, and how do you shape your decisions to but some stuff it's just, yeah, you're just learning.
Yes, yes, and I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, you struck out at baseball, but what'd you learn from it? You didn't
Right.
fail, you grew." And
Yeah,
I think that as adults especially, we really tend to forget that that's just a natural part of life.
that's right. And showing up, and being
Yes,
steady. Been doing
and
some
grateful
readings a
for the
lot.
opportunity to
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, being steady, being fearless and faithful to yourself of, you can do it. Um, and I think it is the consistency of being persistent
Yes,
is because you'll see a lot of people that will try something and then it's like, phew, they stop and they're like, well, that didn't work. And it's like,
the
you know,
dabblers, yeah, because of the
you did it for
failure.
6 weeks or you did it for, 6 months. It's like, it takes time.
Yeah, the failure, the rejection it hurts and bruises people
Oh,
more than
yeah.
it should, and if you can kind of, again, be comfortable being uncomfortable, it
Yeah.
you
That
can
was
really
the
grow.
piece of advice that was given to me when I first started it. my company, whatever it was, a decade ago. And that I have that phrase like written in my notebook of, because when he said that, I was like, oh, you're right. Every day I go into some discomfort.
Yeah. But I think that that's like, especially entrepreneurial brains, I think are wired so differently
Hmm.
that you would be miserable in the predictable or the
Oh, yeah,
repetitive.
yeah, yeah.
And so you have to have some of that discomfort because
The
that's what
chaos.
creates that excitement. Hello.
That's right. Yes, the podcast name. It's very fitting.
Yeah. Actually, going back to your question about what would be my journey, my word for this journey this far, it is probably chaos because it does. It takes a lot to learn how to manage all the
the
things that need to get done in the little amount of time that is allotted in my day to get it
Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh. You're right. Bring me back to I started my company in 2013. I have 4 kids and my youngest 2 were 2 and 4 when I started the
Yep.
company. And yeah, and now they're like you try to get them to get ingrained to the no, we're not going to the office because we used to eat dinners here around
Yeah.
the conference table and yeah, so the last year they were like, "We're burned out of your business."
Aw.
They'll come
I
back
try
around.
to
They'll come
I
back
try
around.
to ingrain my kids in it as much as possible, but they're 4 and 6, so
Yeah.
the concept started when they were 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And, they'll help me go to the storage unit and
Yeah.
get some inventory, or when I'm doing shipping orders, they'll help me carry them in, and,
Let them
they'll
see
keep
the
me on.
experimentation, because that's I always call I think Einstein had that quote of intelligence is just creativity or creativity is intelligence having fun
Yes, yes,
is and I love that quote.
yeah,
But yeah, just to be bold and have confidence and have fun in the
mhm,
experimentation. I
yeah,
think it is lessons that we try to teach our kids of like, yeah, just try it. Like
yeah,
this is just you'll never know if you
yeah.
don't try.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I think that that's such an important, it seems so simple,
Yeah.
right? But it is such a big lesson,
Yeah.
and it's really like a way of life. You
Right.
have to you have to be willing to just try and fail and be okay with that.
And just keep going,
Mhm.
moving forward.
Yes.
Absolutely. Uh, oh, Haley, this has been fantastic.
I
I love talking to
know.
you.
Too.
I feel like we could talk for hours and hours. We have a lot
I
in common.
know.
But before we go, tell people how do they get a hold of you? What do you need from listeners? How can they support you, connect with you?
Oh, thank you
Um,
for the question.
yeah,
So follow along on the brand story. I share all the behind the scenes of, the ins and outs of having this business on social media, which is at Winnie and Lu Home on Instagram, and then at Winnie and Lu everywhere else. So spreading the word, if you know somebody that is expecting, or if you are expecting, adding the Eris drying rack
put
to
it on the
your
registry.
registry. And you can find us, so on winnieandlou.com is the website, but you can also find us at Nordstrom, Walmart, Bye Bye Baby, Bed Bath and Beyond, Amazon, and then some local boutiques here in
Wow,
Texas.
good for you. Look
Thank
at
you.
you. That's fantastic. And we'll tag you and everything and we'll put all the information when we launch the episode. But
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you being on. It was
I
so good to
appreciate
meet
the
you.
conversation. You
And our
too.
community is getting, it's getting closer. It's like, you were connected with OME Gear with, Stacy
And
and
Jules.
then Lael and yeah, I love it.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
we're trying to do is build a more connected entrepreneurial community to
I
support each
love it.
other.
We got to stick together. It is,
That's
we
right.
are, we are a rare breed.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I appreciate it. But that's a wrap on today's chaos. But the journey doesn't stop here. If you found yourself nodding along, laughing, or saying same, same, Haley, I hear you. Make sure to subscribe, share, and give us that 5-star review on Spotify. Or you can dig deeper into our resources for founders. We've got tools, we've got resources, we've got more episodes over at orangewhip.com, and that's orange WIP.com for a work in progress. So until next time, stay curious and stay scrappy. We are all a work in progress, and we will see you next week.